Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming today, wherever you come for the panel or to see Alan. I'm sorry to inform everyone that Alan Garner will not come today because Garner is sick very seriously. So anyway, I will try to do my best to make everyone to know more about AI music, even without Alan. Okay? Yeah. Okay, let's get into the topic, the AI music. You were supposed to hear about there were more and more companies, they were trying to make music by artificial intelligence, especially in the past 2 years. Like global giant technology company, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Baidu, Tencent, Alibaba. They all spend lots of resources and manpower researching how AI could advantage in their company and products. To get better user experience and more user stickiness, and the license and the traffic increasing. In terms of music, what's going on with the progress of development? I'm sorry, I'm not an artificial intelligence scientist, so I can't and I won't talk about technology today. We are talking more about what is the demand for the market. Okay, what AI can do for the music? Briefly, same as the music industry, a company utilizing the computer science, deep learning, algorithms, and neural networks to create music or enhance the musical works for the melody, chords, lyrics, and instrument arrangements, musical recommendation, distribution, vocal mixing, mastering, and music recommendation. All of these companies could be called AI companies. These companies might have proprietary algorithms, and they might use their algorithm to make their product to be more efficiently. I hope this can help you to get more understand what is AI and relationship with AI and music. To be more clearly, I would like to briefly introduce my company, the Empire Music. Empire Music was started in Taiwan, Taipei, in January of 2018. Now, there are about 20 people working on music data analysis, algorithms, deep learnings, programming, songwriting, and music productions. Okay, and what do I see in the market? According to my many years of experience at licensing work in Greater China, I'm aware of there is a huge demand for Chinese music. In fact, there are only around 50 million music tracks for 7.7 global populations. But there is only 500,000 Chinese music tracks for 1.3 billion Chinese audience. So there are not many options or enough good music for the market. Thus, I was wondering if AI could work to make music much more efficiently. Besides TME, TikTok, live video streaming, and e-reading, there are many pioneer internet applications in this high-speed growing market. They all need more killer features for their users, as well as the atmosphere music is growing in the markets, and it's a good timing to approach it. Therefore, we have developed different algorithms and programs for C-pop songs and BGM. Now we have melody and chord generators, auto-composing for stylish music, auto-composing by photo, simulate composing by artists, and the lyric generators. Then we will have auto BGM composition for video by end of this year. You can visit our official trial website just only with 3 simple steps: selecting the theme, sub-qualification, and the tempo. You will get one completed MIDI format BGM. It only takes 45 seconds. If you want a better timbre, we can take more 5 minutes. Then it can be commercial use. And we attended the C-pop contest in Taipei last year and were awarded the top 5. Out of over 14,000 musical works in the contest. This was the first version of our first algorithm. We provide the melody, then collaborate with musicians for the songs and the production. Now, we can create 5 songs, 5 1-hour relaxing music, 40 BGMs for atmosphere music in a week. The most important thing is we are not merely a technology company, but also a music production company, where we utilize advanced technologies to efficiently create lovely music, as well as we could provide the functional features for music and video applications. Finally, I pick out some different genres of the music we created. Hope you like it.
的尝试，赶快来来来，这就是
Thank you. All the music you just heard, of course, not 100% by AI. We collaborate with the musicians, so we just only, each music will only takes about 1 hour. So now we can create a lot of genres music, and this is why we are different to other AI companies. Okay, today we still have a panelist, the TC Pan, VP of TME, and Terry, co-founder of KK Farm. So let's get into the next section, the Q&A section. So the first question is to TC. Yeah. Could you please?
Sit down here.
No, okay. Yeah. Can you just briefly introduce yourself and your company, and tell me about how about the Chinese music market, and does TME have plan to approach the AI project?
Okay, I think some of you might know me already. I was in another panel. So I'm TC Pan from Tencent Music Entertainment Group. I'm the group VP. I'm responsible for all the content cooperation and copyright management. So I handle and deal with all the label, all the rights, all the content creation projects. First of all, before I go into our needs on the Chinese market, on behalf of Liquid and Alan and Gunnar, because we are also a shareholder in Liquid State in the company, and Alan is also our artist, and apparently Gunnar has gone seriously sick, but hopefully he can get better. We still have a conference this afternoon, so we welcome everyone to join. And but I can obviously, on behalf of them, talk about some of those questions that you were originally addressed to them. Okay, so coming back to the market, obviously, as Michael stated, there are, well, I think on the record 1.3 billion, off the record I think maybe 1.5 billion people in China. And as Michael also mentioned in slides, there are literally only about 500,000 songs available for the Chinese audience, not only in China, but across the world. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, US, Europe, you name it, right? It's just too little contents for too many people. And that's why I think when Michael, I mean, we're friends since decades, and came to me about his idea about this new venture. I say, great, someone needs to expedite, and someone needs to speed up the creation of Chinese music. And as he said, I think we don't expect AI to take over what human can do, the artistic sense of human being, but we expect some kind of tool that helps speed up, expedite certain industrial needs of music. For example, the background music in the restaurant, in the cafe, in some of these places that we'll go, for meal, for coffee, for chat, for whatever. And suddenly, for example, we are also investing in a lot of podcast projects, which is also a big thing in China now. A lot of people listen to these long podcast contents. And when someone is talking or podcasting about a certain piece of content, a topic, it will be very dry if there's no some kind of background music to it. But are we going to ask a legitimate musician or music person to spend hours and hours just to create some kind of background music for the podcast? Or someone who is trying to upload a user-generated video with some, fancy dancing moves, and then again, he in the past they either pirate someone's music, Or are we going to ask again some legitimate music worker to create something, hours just for a few seconds of usage that probably revenue-wise doesn't really justify? So all of these things is happening, I think, not only in China but around the world, is basically limiting a lot of music potential because we simply don't have enough people and we don't have enough content, especially for the Chinese market, right? So in that big sense, we've been seeking solutions for the past several years in terms of how do we resolve that situation. In a sense, how do we allow a machine to do certain not so artistic music work, so then the legitimate music human workers or musicians or artists can then free up more time and energy to do something that has more human feeling and human touch to it, right? I mean, that is what we are looking for. So that's when Michael came to me and they said, look, if you guys want to work with us, then definitely you need to help us with our needs, because, we want more music artists, producers to work for TME. As I stated on Monday, we have a lot of Terry and I were on the same platform. The platforms, the internet were on the same panel. The internet platforms are going to go upstream. We're going to create our own content. It is a strategy that we will not stop, but we will collaborate with the traditional music labels as well, like rock records. They're there, like Denise from Dennis from Blue Digital. We will work with these guys to co-create content, but we will not just sit there and wait for them to deliver contents to us. In that sense, when we need these contents to be created, then a lot of the music demand is in void. So who's going to do it? Who's going to create background music? Who's going to do some of the background music for some, random videos or even TV drama series that they just need some bits and pieces of music or background music for a suspense scene, for a loving scene, for various scenes. Right? So someone has to do it, but that's eating up a lot of the actual human music workers' time, and is not progressing the music industry fast enough. So that's essentially what we are seeking for. Yeah.
So do you see any issue or opportunity for the AI on your platform?
Well, I don't see any issue, because obviously I think some people, we had several debates. Michael and I, privately or officially, we had several meetings with other people such as Terry, and then people who have been in the industry for a long, long time. And obviously, people who've been in the industry for a long time, especially they are coming from the content side, they would question or challenge the fact that, how can AI be as good as human? And I think that is the perception issue is probably the only issue, is that how people see this, how the very traditional, long history, prestigious labels people consider this, and then if I'm not on board with what I just mentioned in my own perfect world, then my concern is that they may put some kind of blockage to try to slow down this thing from happening, which I don't think is correct. Right? So that could be my only issue, is can it be accepted widely, broadly within the music industry and as well as by the society? The opportunity I see is huge. In fact, it's enormous. For example, TME, we have experimented public places as kind of background music, restaurants, hotels, coffee shops, malls, you name it. Right? We're trying to enter that to B side of business, which is a very lucrative business everywhere in the world outside of China. Right. So, in fact, to a lot of stats I've learned, the background music provided to commercial establishments in the Euro-American countries is somewhere around 10 to 20% of the total music industry's income. We're talking about billions of dollars, US dollars, not renminbi. But in China, it's ridiculous. There's only a few hundred a few hundred maybe like no more than 300 million renminbi, which is like how much is that? 50 million US dollars. It's like ridiculously low. 50 million US dollars. Imagine a country of 1.5 billion people and all these millions of commercial establishments. The background music being paid is still pirated. And obviously there is the collecting society trying to solve that issue, but it's been slow, it's been painful, right? So we expect something that can help us with that side of opportunity that we're looking at, serious opportunity. And then, of course, a lot of the user-generated contents and PGC and UGC, they need a lot of these background music, as well as something what you said, what you presented on Chinese pop as well. I mean, again, we hope there will be more great hits in Chinese pop music, and if AI music can, in fact, quickly and effectively, and maybe in the years to come, become more humane, then help us to create more Chinese pop hits, and to have more great contents and offer it to the users in China.
Just what I mentioned, what we created AI to create music, we are not going to replace the musicians. In fact, we create more job opportunity, more job for the musicians now. Without us, so far we have 20 people working on our company. So I think that's what we work. That's what we are doing. That's why we create more jobs for the musicians. It's a new opportunities. So we are not going to play the musicians. Someone always debated me on that. In fact, we are happy to collaborate with the old musicians in terms of the lyrics or instrument arrangement. Yeah. Okay, so next question is to Terry. I heard that. First, please introduce your company and you first. Thank you. And I heard that including the streaming music and the video service like YouTube, TikTok, Tencent videos, all of them have the AI music project and the development team. Does KK Farm or KK Box have also have plan to build a team or invest in it?
Hi, everyone. My name is Terry. I'm the co-founder of KK Farm. We're part of the KK Box group. KK Box is the largest music streaming platform in Taiwan, and we operate in Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Japan. I co-founded a company called KK Farm, which invests in startup music companies, whether they're labels or music technology companies. So to answer your first question, Michael, I think most platform or technology platforms are already using some form of artificial intelligence, whether it's for the enhancement of user experience, recommendation, the personalization of your user navigation, even for, say, like the generation of playlists and stuff like that. I think there's already a lot of platforms that are using some form of artificial intelligence to do that. Another area where, say, maybe not artificial intelligence, but machine learning is being used is to develop like advanced analytic platforms for creators, which I think is very important and will continue to be more important as we build music businesses, because traditionally most music businesses, I say most creative businesses, revolved around gut and experience, like, and inspiration, which rightfully so. But I think today the fact that most entertainment content is consumed on the internet, we're now, for the first time in history, we have access to billions of data points every day. And the amount of insights that we can get from that, whether it's prediction analysis and probably eventually prescriptive analysis. And with that is like imagine if you were a singer and you put out a song, and within, say, like 3 days, I could tell you to a 70% or maybe 80% degree of accuracy how well your song's going to do 2 to 3 months out, you would start to know how to plan your marketing. Or if your song was going to flop, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to spend that money on that music video. Those are some of the things that we're exploring. Other forms of, I think, other forms of AI that we're also doing is internally, like operation-wise, I think there's a lot of room to streamline operational cost and efficiency using artificial intelligence. Another thing that we've started doing this year is we actually worked with Xiaomi to make the first smart speaker in Taiwan called 小爱同学, which is
Smart speaker?
Yeah, smart speaker, and you basically just talk to it and it'll recommend you music, play you music. So this is just the beginning of many products that I see. I think it's highly possible that one day you'll be in a studio with, it could be a little box or it could be like a little robot, and it could actually help you write songs and collaborate with you. I think the collective intelligence of man and machine will always outdo either one of them. That's definitely something that I think has historically happened. So while, like TC was mentioning earlier, I think I get this question a lot, and like that AI, it's audacious and it's contentious to say that machines will replace creativity. I personally believe, like, the answer to the question, like, can machine ever be creative, is yes. But will humans continue to be creative? Yes. And so it's relative to one another, right? Like, because I was talking to Michael yesterday, and I was saying, like, 500 years ago, Beethoven was Alan Walker. He was the big hit maker, right? But today, that music is called classical, right? I'm not sure if everyone listens to classical, but what I'm trying to say is creativity is relative to time. And in about 50 years, EDM and hip-hop and all contemporary pop music that we're listening to today will be old. And in 100 years, it will be very old. But by that time, we would have collected so much data that it would be very natural that a machine could generate a beat that we listen to today without a human being having to do it. And like TC mentioned earlier, what does this have to do? This frees up human capacity and time to be more creative. I think that's something that has historically happened. Human beings will always be as creative as the technology comes, right? And this has happened throughout history, whether it's 100 years ago, the population of people doing agricultural farming in the U.S. was like over 70%. If I told you then that 100 years from now it would be 3%, you'd be like, well, where are we going to get food to eat, right? But today, it's 3%, and nobody's going hungry. There's still a lot of food. So we have to remember that human beings will always evolve with technology, and that's relative. So I think at KK Farm, what we look forward to is, while we're building right now, we're investing in creative companies, musicians, producers to start their own labels. I think at some point in the near future, we're going to start looking at different models. Like, how do we work with, how do we co-invest? Like we were talking this morning, how do we co-invest in a company that machine plays a big part in generating music? Because from a business perspective, there's huge opportunities, whether it's in background music or in film scoring. I think it comes back to this, is like scaling creativity is what I think we're all trying to do, and AI will play a very big part in that.
Yeah, so let me jump in. So then we can free up some of the brightest minds, and one day, when Earth is no longer a place to live, we can find somewhere else and fly over there, and we just kind of immigrate to a different planet. So we need more people to work on that.
Right. We're supposed to go to Mars, right? So we need to do that, right?
Yeah,
that's the point.
Right.
Yeah, I know your company has also have the engineering team to research on researching the AI for the music.
Yes.
So can you share with us what's your first idea, first thought about our music? When you first
Your music?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm completely blown away. Like, I was talking to Michael last week, and and he shared something that was very very relevant with this. Like, for us, we've been trying to do music generation. Music generation is having a computer generate music. I think AI composition is very different. It's using AI to assist you in composing music and not necessarily generate that music. So something that I learned in the last 24 hours is maybe we've been focusing too much on music generation, and rather we should be doing what you're doing, which is AI composition. And I'm absolutely impressed. Like, yeah, we're not doing too bad, but you're doing really good.
Yes, okay, thank you. How AI music could leverage the music for the streaming music services, maybe on a K-Boss or
For streaming services, I think it's probably mostly in user experience. Would you agree, TC? I think, like, for AI to be used, like we were saying earlier, like, there's going to be smart speakers. IoT is the next thing, right? With 5G, I think AI will find its way into that segment. But for, say, like KK Farm, I'm very, very interested in how AI is going to affect music composition. Like what I was mentioning earlier about the example of farmers is, like, the decentralization of music, and I mean recording music, began in the say the 60s or 70s with the beginning of the synthesizer, right? Because, say, in the 40s, if you wanted to play in a band or you wanted to perform music, you would need an entire band on stage with you. But with the beginning of the synthesizer, that became one person. One person could do that, and eventually that went into the studio. Computers took over recording, and now you literally can do it. I was going to say laptop, but I make music off this phone. This phone is more powerful than the computers that send man to the moon, right, in the 60s. So this thing is all you really need to make music today. And I think that is where I'm very, very interested in. So music composition is definitely one part. The next part that I think AI is going to really help is machine learning and using some form of machine learning to do more precise analytics when it comes to business strategy planning, like I was mentioning earlier. Right now, there are things that we're working on, tools which where we'll use audio analysis to analyze, say, a song's chord progression, its beat, its groove, even a person's vocal, and compare that to chart history, analysis of top songs from historical past, to kind of give you a score. So I do that. I usually run around to these companies we invest in, and I'm like, hey, let me hear your new song. Let me put it in my computer. Let me give you a score. And half the time people look at me and are like, what are you doing? But I personally, having used this, I realized, like, you know what? It's 50-50, but 50-50 is a lot better than 0 5 years ago. So we have tools that can actually start kind of like predicting if your song's going to do well, because you can do music for the love of it, but if you're trying to run a music business, you definitely want volume, right, and hits. So these are some of the ways we're exploring. I think I'm extremely excited about the near future.
Yeah, so I'd like to add a bit. So, in fact, because of what Terry has put together in terms of the kind of big data or AI prediction of whether the song is going to break or not, and the fact that this guy is doing AI composition and can create a song or a MIDI file in 40 seconds. Now I'm thinking is you guys should just have the two systems connected together, and they just keep analyzing, and then you come up with like, oh, today we got like 10 hits.
We will do that.
And then you guys give us those 10 hits, and we'll find all these artists in China, and then we start creating music around those 10 hits, right? So that's great. That's exactly what I need.
We just created a new business.
I mean, exactly. I'm honestly, I'm saying like, we should definitely do it.
I think we should just do it now.
Let's do it.
We're gonna go off and talk about that right now.
It's like people are digging these bitcoins, right? I mean, they have these so-called machine, and we're just digging that gold coin out of the machine created contents, right? So if that would be something that could work, and obviously that's something we're definitely looking for. I mean, coming back to your original question on streaming service, so we'll obviously, I think Dennis, my colleague, said that we use AI to recommend, to curate contents, and to analyze some user behaviors. They are using AI to predict whether a piece of content can break or not. You guys are using AI to compose new music and all that, right? So I think all these are great. It really helps our streaming service because, like I said on Monday, we need more great contents. And the issue is, I think that period of 10 to 15 years of piracy in China, somewhat, I mean, I got to be honest, somewhat slow down a lot of the Chinese music creation. So a lot of the great hits and tracks, the Chinese people are listening are from, the 90s, right? Very few great hits and tracks, come from after 2000, right? So I think we just need more great new music and content, whether it's from AI or because of AI, it's freeing up more human capacity and human creativity to really sit down and think about, a piece of very good music that can touch millions and millions of people's heart. I think that's what we need in terms of our streaming service.
Speaking of which, about collaboration with the musicians, we all know the Chinese market is huge, and do you agree it's a good way to help the foreign composers? They maybe have no idea about what is the C-pop, what is the structure of the C-pop. Do you agree it's a good way to help the foreign composers to collaborate with our AI to collaborate with created songs to get into the China market?
Is that music originally for Gunnar? A question originally for Gunnar? Yeah, I mean that's like, I mean that's fine. I can answer for him. I mean I think most definitely, because I think for Liquid State we have Alan Walker. We have, I think tomorrow we'll be announcing the signing of Rehab. We have Wukong, Korsak. We have many very bright EDM talents. They all eager to enter the Chinese market aggressively, and just off the record and on the records, Alan Walker's play stream counts in all TME platforms, QQ Music, Google Music, Cool Music, is undoubtedly champion of all foreign artists in China, and that is when he's not creating music specifically for the Chinese audience, right? So what if he gets some assistant from your system, and then he can understand better how Chinese people like to have their music or his EDM music in a Chinese way, and attack or advance in the market in a more understanding way in terms of what the users in China or the audiences in China prefer. So definitely, I think that's something. And in fact, we get knocked on the doors all the time by the big agency of CAA, Endeavor. They have thousands of clients who is performing abroad, and some of the contents are delivered through the three majors or the content aggregators that we work with. Some, have not, and some just want to kind of come to China and do some local collab projects or cross project with local artists and local musicians. And definitely, with your tool, I think that's something we are hoping to like, a bit like what Terry said, is that we're hoping that when they come, they have an understanding of the market and of the music taste already, and then whatever they do and work with us in the Chinese market, that something can have at least a 50 hit rate rather than 0 or 100, right? So that's what we're looking at.
Okay. Well, I said that because last but not the least, we are so excited and happy to announce that we will collaborate with Alan for a music project. The music is going to be used for great music in China. So Alan has selected some demo songs from us, and he started thinking about flowering music productions. So thanks for your coming today. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.